Today I'm bringing you on board Ethiopian Airlines A350-1000, their brand new baby just delivered less than a month ago. A big baby though, anyway, in business class. And first I have to position to London to catch it, so we have a bonus bit on BA's A320neo from Stockholm in the fetching BA Better World livery. So come along as I start my journey down to Africa as far as Addis Ababa, and we'll get into whether Ethiopian Airlines is a good bet for your long-haul flights, at least on the A350 if you can catch it. They often price premium tickets very well, but they also have a widely varied fleet with various business class products, and they're definitely not created equal. So is it worth the cost savings? I will answer all this and more in this video and in the following, which will take in a handful of 787 flights with Ethiopian too, so you get a sense of what else they offer. So now would be a great time to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I know it's a little bit early in the video for that request, but hey, I would really love it if you did that. It helps me get my video out to more people and to keep making these. Welcome to the next trip. This one is a very fun one in many ways. Right now we're on British Airways A320neo heading over to London from Stockholm, and that's just the positioning flight to get on board Ethiopian Airlines brand new A350-1000, heading way out of my way on my way to Cape Town to bring you that 1000, which is not even a month old. And I lucked out with getting it today because you never know what Ethiopian's going to do, and it's been operating London every other day. So yeah, it worked out nicely. Usually there is an Ethiopian nonstop from Stockholm to Addis, but not today. So it was either London or Munich, somewhere in Germany, and London has the good A350. So here we go. It's already dark. It's 3 p.m. heading to much more summery weather, and then after that very cold but non-stop light. So anyway, on balance, I think a positive development, because I don't like the darkness.
Thank you very much for boarding so properly.
People throw a lot of shade BA's way, and in some sense they deserve it. I mean, this is a very cramped offering for so-called business class. The legroom is pretty terrible, I'll admit, but I always feel good on a BA flight. I love the British accents on the tannoy. You see what I did there, using the British word? The pilots, by the way, are always happy to chat in the flight deck before or after the flight, and are generally just awesome people.
This way is slow in this piece.
There we are. Oh.
Do you want to sit down as well, Dick? Now you're flying.
That's where you fly with.
Now you're flying.
Cabin crew I find to be generally very warm as well, with few exceptions, and I like the food and drink a lot. I especially find that BA's vegetarian options are super tasty, and I also like how they highlight British specialties on every menu. Though this one is obviously Indian, which you could also argue has become an integral part of British culinary culture. Feel free to flame me in the comments, but one of my favorite things to do in England is go get a curry, and I'll bet most of you would agree. Anyway, yeah, I really enjoyed this little flight despite the limited legroom, and we get a long drawn-out sunset thanks to the westbound and slightly southbound flight on this winter afternoon. Nice flight with BA, number 1 of 3 for the day down. Ethiopian's A350-1000 coming up next. Now gotta navigate Heathrow Terminal transfer. Fingers crossed, hoping for the best, you never know. Another perk of this unusual connection between alliances, the bus from T5 to T2 at Heathrow, where Ethiopian departs, is very empty, and there are no crowds to deal with along the way. In case you were curious, this is all on one ticket booked through Ethiopian. Heathrow Transit Security strikes again. This one was totally quiet, just a few people. It should have been the easiest. They have advanced scanners, you name it, and yet somehow they all managed to be super stressy, super like, everybody gets stressed as a result, partly because a lot of people were on tight connections and some people had missed a flight, but they had, for example, all the people bunched up at the entry who had missed one flight, and they were blocking the way, and the staff never made any attempt to move them out of the way so other people could go through. There was just lack of clarity. Luckily, it was redeemed by one guy, the one guy that checked my bag, because my bag almost always gets a secondary check on those machines. He was cool, he was nice, he wanted to know what I was doing, he was making friendly conversation with everybody else before me. So yeah, great to see a gem like that. We need more of him here, and in security checks in general. I tried to go to the Singapore Airlines lounge. There's also the Air Canada or the United lounge here, but I thought I've never been in the Singapore lounge, so let's check it out. Air Canada's is closed. Singapore Airlines told me no dice, it's too busy, and it's only for Singapore Airlines passengers. Is that right? Are they allowed to do that? I'm not so sure. Star Gold. Don't you have the right to use a lounge? But I guess maybe the airlines can sort of make the ultimate decision on that. They love to play those little games. It's probably a clause in the terms and conditions. So we're gonna go over to United. I've been in this one once before. It doesn't have the benefit of novelty for me, but I do like it. It's nice for a United lounge, for a non-Polaris United lounge. So it's kind of sweet that they have a Thanksgiving dinner spread out here in the United lounge, but then it made me remember that it is actually Thanksgiving right now, and then it was kind of sad that this is my Thanksgiving dinner by myself. And this lounge honestly is nicer in the daytime. That's when I visited last time. In the dark, it's just the lighting is not right for me. It's just one big open space and the lighting is a little too harsh or something. It just doesn't quite tick that box for me. I'm very exacting when it comes to lighting, but still. Anyway, check out my Thanksgiving dinner. Alright, so a middling experience at the United Club, but I did pass quite a bit of time there quickly. Decent Wi-Fi. Pretty bad Thanksgiving dinner, but at least they made the effort to put out some Thanksgiving stuff that's cute. And now for the main event, finally. Feels like it's been a while since I started this trip. Let's go find that Ethiopian Airlines A350-1000. What a show at the gate, Jesus. They had to scan my passport, but it became this whole thing, waiting in line, angry staff, and then they said the bag is not with them. This is the bag full of my stuff for Antarctica, which I need within 24 hours of landing in Cape Town, latest. So that's stressful, and I have an air tag in it, and I can see that it's nearby. It's not at Terminal 2 quite, but it's not at Terminal 5 either, so it's in some middle ground. Who knows, man, but just what a bad vibes at the gate. The guy was all right in the end, but nah, everybody's stressed. We don't like it. Anyway, check this out.
Hello, welcome on board.
Take your time, no worries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, amazing. Thank you. All right, nice first impression, quite new aircraft. Already a couple of little scuffs and marks though, and a lot of banging coming from the cargo hold. I don't know what's going on down there. I see they've got a big pallet they're about to load that's not gone in, and there's a lot of banging going on, so I don't know. But also my bag is not here, so the longer we wait, the higher the chances of my bag arriving to the aircraft, maybe? I think unlike any other product I've flown before, definitely different look and feel, colors and all that. The cabin, it's a nice A350 cabin. The big difference here is that these have the dimming windows, the very new feature from Airbus, which I've heard are better than the Dreamliner versions, but we'll see, I guess. So yeah, the window actually feels a lot closer to you here because there's no window shade. The sort of inner pane is more flush with the wall. I think that's what's making the difference. So that's an interesting one. Anyway, always a good day on an A350. I think we should just take a moment to appreciate the very dramatic classical music. For a second I thought they turned it off because it was getting out of control. That's not really calming boarding music. Classical is nice, but
እንደምናመሻችሁ የስምርት አየር መንገድ ተሸላሚ ሆነው የኢትዮጵያ አየር መንገድ መጥተው ከኛ ጋር ለመብረር ስለመጡ ወደ አዲስ አበባ ከተማ የሚሄደው ነው። ራዲዮቻችን ከካፕቴን ዳግማዊ ከካፕቴን እንደዚህና ከመላችን እንኳን ደህና መጣችሁ በማለት ይላቀቃለሁ። አዲስ አበባ ኢትዮጵያ ለመሆናል የመቀለበትን ከፍታ 35,000 ጊዜ ጥያቄዎቻችሁን ለማስተናገድና ፍላጎታችሁን የጋራ ማጨስ ስለጥብቅ የተከለከለ መሆኑን እያሳወቅን በመጸዳጃ ቤት
The production values on the Ethiopian safety video are shocking, I have to say. But you do get gems like this guy who is a total boss, acting so over it that he's being told not to smoke. That guy is definitely going to smoke on his flight, it's guaranteed. At this point I have such strong positive associations with the A350, that flap sound that I know so well. Just that gets me psyched for an A350 takeoff or landing. Anyone else have the same experience out there? Those specific sounds, you know, of certain aircraft types. Yeah. Okay, so this is all pretty nice, but I do have some things to say. First, it's barely over 6 hours to Addis, yet they take 2 hours to do the full drinks and dinner service. That means you'll be lucky to sleep 3 hours. Maybe some people on board are heading out on holiday and want to enjoy the service, but they should offer the choice of an express meal for those of us who mainly want to get some rest. And such an elaborate multi-course offering is really unnecessary here, especially if it's going to be that slow. Second, the Wi-Fi system boggles the mind. You can have it for free in business class, but the cabin crew have to generate a code for you to get online. Yet, this is not explained anywhere, and they didn't come around to mention it or offer it at any point, so I finally had to ask about it, and it turns out the Wi-Fi was working fine, but the code generator was not working, so that meant no one could have Wi-Fi. You may be thinking, well, if you really need it, just pay for it, but that wasn't even an option on the thing that came up when you joined the network. Only a code would work on this flight. There was no way to actually pay for it. That part was different on my subsequent flights, but still, this whole system is so unnecessarily clunky and difficult to understand. And although this seat is private and lies flat, which is not something you can say of all of Ethiopian's business class seats, I found it was a little bit too narrow, with the opening on one side meaning my arm kept wanting to fall to the floor, which reduced the comfort and the ability to get deep sleep. Look, I'm nitpicking, but these things do matter, especially when you fly a range of different airlines on long flights. You start to notice these differences, and it's worth pointing out. If you tend to sleep on your side, I guess this would be less of an issue in this seat. Another thing that's more of an observation, I could swear this A350 with the thinner sidewalls is louder in the cabin than the previous standard version of the 350. Have any of you found that to be the case if you've tried this new one out? That's a surprising trade-off for Airbus to make if it's true, since they're known for their quiet cabins. Again, I could be wrong, but it really seemed that way to me. It's still quiet, but it's just not as quiet as the previous A350s I've flown on. Anyway, on very little sleep, I'm greeted with a lovely African sunrise and this wing view.
of flight T701 on behalf of Ethiopian Airlines, member Australians, our Captain Dagmai, Captain Dexy, and the entire crew, and let's say thank you and goodbye to all passengers. Cloud9, Shawmice Platinum, and Australia's co members.
and I couldn't film much in the transit security area, but let me tell you, it's awful. Thank God the airport here at Addis is a very small one because it at least has that in its favor. But even on the premium/gold track side, it was just a crush of people going through security at this hour, many of them quite angry and short-tempered. And there was a nice stream of people cutting into this queue from the economy one to get through more quickly. Staff tried to intervene, but they were powerless. It was a high-stress moment in an otherwise relatively smooth trip so far. So I just realized I have almost no time to enjoy this lounge. It's actually not bad, this part with natural light. You can see Addis out there. The coffee is strong and good, and it looks like they have a decent selection of food over there, but I'm not going to have time to have any of it. I skipped the breakfast on the plane too. That flight was way too short. You're talking about maybe getting 3.5 hours of sleep if you're really efficient about it, if you do both meals. I think that would be an obvious place where they could improve and make it a little more premium, give you the choice. Do you want to sleep, maximize sleep, or do you want to enjoy? Because there are probably people on that flight who are happy to stay up all night, you know, trying wines and dining, and they're on holiday. But there's also people who would want to maximize sleep, like me in that case. I wanted to try the food, of course, so I could film it. Yeah, at the very least, they should be asking you if you want to be woken for breakfast. But they could certainly offer a shortened meal service where everything comes out at once. It does not need to be dragged out for 2 hours. You know, in general, beautiful plane, pretty good seat, pretty good service. They were friendly. They certainly weren't very polished or well-trained, I thought. It felt like there was a lot missing from the whole experience in terms of having like a real premium experience. But then Ethiopian is pricing their tickets at sometimes 1/3, sometimes a half of what other airlines are charging on similar routes. And they have great coverage all over Africa and Middle East. So, you know, maybe it's fair enough. But I kept thinking about how it felt like Ethiopian is the anti-Qatar Airways for me. It's like many of the same basic features in place of, you know, being a big airline with a massive connecting network out of a hub in this sort of general part of the world with A350s, with 787s. And they do a pretty good job with branding, but then everything about the service, the seat, the food, the way the cabin crew are, the way things are presented, the safety video, production quality there, you know, everything about it is kind of like what Qatar gives you, that magic, that level of refined service, that next level of everything. Ethiopian falls short. You know, maybe it's okay, but Qatar Airways also has pretty good prices out of the Nordics at least, so, you know, I'm not a convert to Ethiopian, and I probably never will be. But yeah, I wouldn't avoid them actively. It's just good to know going in what you're getting. Anyway, I have to go over to see about boarding the next flight, Cape Town, 787-9, and that's going to be for next week. We'll save that because we've done enough now. And maybe I'll do all the 787s in a row. I'll be doing Cape Town and then back up to Addis on my way back, and then 787-8 up to Stockholm direct on the way back. So thanks for following along so far. Let me know what you thought. And that A350-1000 though, I mean, whatever the service is on board, whatever the seat is, it's just amazing. Yeah. So, yeah. Thanks for following along. Make sure to leave your likes and your comments. I do appreciate them so much. See you next time.